All right, students, I'm going to do a little story for you, which is an analogy. Okay. So in this story, people are like numbers. Okay. And if you can see right now, we're looking at Pauling. Okay. So all the people who live in Pauling are going to be called, we'll just call them the whole numbers. That's like 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you might think, oh, if I live in Pauling, that's who I am. I live in Pauling and I'm a whole number. Cool. But everybody who lives in Pauling, there's something funny about that is they also live in a place called Dutchess County, New York, right? So I'm going to type in Dutchess County. So every Pauling resident is a Dutchess County resident. Likewise, every whole number is also part of a bigger set of numbers called the integers. So in here, in Dutchess County, is all the negative numbers and the positive numbers that are whole numbers. Now, the positive ones all lived in Pauling, but now that we have Dutchess County, we have all the negative ones included too. So -7, -1,000. And you might be like, oh, I live in Dutchess County. That means I could be a negative whole number. I could be a positive whole number. We don't know because Pauling's in here too. We have all the positives in there, and now we have the negatives too. But the thing is, that's not all numbers can be. There's other kinds of numbers too. And you're like, oh yeah, fractions or decimals. And you're like, oh yeah. So where do fractions and decimals live? Well, the thing about being a positive or negative whole number is you might be a fraction or decimal. For example, 3/1 or -10.0. Those are both examples of numbers written as fractions or decimals, but they essentially are integers. But what about fractions that can't be written as integers? Well, then you live in New York. So you're like, oh, I live in New York State. Um, and that's cool. So New York State is now like, oh, if I live in New York State, I am now allowed to be, well, a positive and negative whole number if I live in Dutchess County. But anywhere else in New York State would be another kind of number, like a fraction or decimal. So now we have all the fractions, all the decimals, all the positive and negative whole numbers, we call the integers, living in Dutchess County. Of course, we have all the whole numbers as well. Seems like we have most of the numbers, but there's more, right? So what did we forget? If you have fractions, decimals, is this actually a kind of a weird kind of number, which we don't think about a lot, but it's like when you take like the square root of 2 or take the number pi, and those are all those numbers that have these decimals that don't repeat, and they are called irrational. So if you want to include all those weird numbers like pi, you have to expand the map a little bit. Say, okay, if you want to live here too, you can't live in New York State because that's only fractions, decimals, and whole numbers. You're gonna be my irrational numbers. So that's everybody living outside New York State and the rest of the United States. And so everybody who doesn't live in New York, we're going to call them irrational because they're just kind of these crazy numbers. And then the whole United States, well, if I type in United States, now we have what's called the real numbers. All right. And if we have the United States, now we have all the irrationals. We have all the rationals, meaning we have every kind of number that can be written using like pi or square roots, which are kind of weird. And everybody in New York State too, which is like the fractions, the decimals, the whole numbers, and all those. Okay. And now we have like all the numbers contained. But you might say, but Mr. Marks, no, you forgot there's a whole world of numbers. And I'd be like, okay, well, if you want to go beyond the United States, you have to talk about something called the complex numbers, but you're going to have to wait for Algebra 2 to learn about those. Sorry.